Good stuff, gents.
Yeah.
Missed y'all. It's been a
while.
It feels like it's been a long time.
You know,
Good to be back.
we took a little
in the lab.
hiatus, because we had one of our guys here take a nice little vacation.
Oh man, a vacation it was.
Yeah, how was that? Tell me about
Yes.
Oh man, went to the rancho. First time ever going. Chihuahua.
And the weather,
It was beautiful. My type of weather.
which means it was hot.
over 100 degrees.
Let's go.
At night it was like 95. It never like dropped 95.
That's
it was
insane.
Nice and sweaty.
Oh, absolutely. The whole time. And it was dry.
Everything
heat.
was sticking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
for
The whole
sure.
time. The whole time. And yeah, no, it was it was really it was interesting for sure though. I've never been to Rancho before.
No
And,
AC out there, huh? Or
was there? Thank God we had AC.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
We had AC for sure. And then actually they had like, those small wall mount ACs in houses.
Yeah.
But we stayed in a hotel. So
Oh, did you?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I needed to.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah. I actually killed a scorpion too.
There's hotels in the rancho?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. I mean, they're coming up.
You're in a Marriott though, right?
All right.
Oh,
Right. Back it up a bit. You said you killed a scorpion.
Yeah,
I killed
yeah.
a scorpion, dude. I actually forgot that there was scorpions out there and didn't even occur to me. It was the last night, and they were freaking out. They're like, kill it. Turn around, and I just stomp on it. And right before I stomp on it, I'm like, what is it? So big.
Yeah.
And then look at it. It was a scorpion.
Did it have little babies on its back?
No, if they did, they were gone. Yeah.
Right.
But
Damn.
yeah, it
Last
was.
time I saw a scorpion like that when I was in Mexico when I was little, yeah, it had little babies on its back because it carries them on its back. It's disgusting.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but if I would have actually acknowledged that it was a scorpion, I probably wouldn't have stepped on it.
Yeah.
Because it's walking around. Just
Wait, was it in the hotel room or
No, it was
just
in
outside?
a cabin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I guess there was a relative that he had 2 cabins out there, and had some family staying in one, and we went out there to go visit them, and like it was like within 15 minutes, and I was like, dude, I was ready to go. As soon as that happened, I was ready to go.
Like, we out.
Yeah.
What are some of the other stuff you got into?
How was the food?
For reals.
Oh man, I really don't want to. If I comment and it's like legit, like me being honest, it was not as great as I expected it to be.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, what was cool that I did ask that if I did go on this trip, for them to slaughter a cow, and they did. I got to watch, and the whole process.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was interesting.
Did you help?
No, everybody else did, and I didn't. I'm a city boy, baby.
Right.
me and my daughter.
Like,
were
I
walking
can grill
around.
them for you after.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. They did was it barbacoa? That
Okay,
style.
yeah. Ooh.
Nice.
And
Yes.
that's.
Love
I guess
that
that was the way of actually doing like a big party, and they were known in that rancho to do that style.
Nice.
So it was cool. Went to go see the old stomping grounds. But other than that, it was just more out there for the family. But definitely was so glad to be back, and it was nice and hot here. So yeah, we were loving it. As soon as I got here, I was just like, "This is why California is so expensive. You're paying for the weather, man."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Was there any like lakes out there?
No, not
think
really.
I've ever
We
been
did
over
some. We went to a river. I guess a family they had owned a big ranch, and they had a river on their ranch, and that was pretty cool. You got to see. What I really enjoyed was something that you don't normally see. Especially a city boy like myself. Like you never see these things, right?
Yeah.
And then got to see like the full city lights. It was crazy. Like I got some pictures. I'll show you
dope.
guys, and it was really, really dope. But the lifestyle is different. It's definitely you see like the different culture. From the kids, the women, the men. And it's like over there, it's these boys become men like at a very early age. So it's crazy to watch.
Yeah.
And they ain't scared. So they definitely get in there, get dirty, and
they
they're
get
not
put to
afraid.
work early.
Oh, absolutely.
Did
right.
the kids helping cut the cow?
They didn't have any kids at the time, but they did say like the kids will get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
Wow.
skin the thing. So it's like almost I don't know, part of the culture, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm over here, a city boy in the back, just just recording.
When I was young, and it was here actually, here in Cali. I helped my grandma kill a chicken. But she just, sometimes around here, they're just people just have chickens in the back, right? They have a chicken coop in the back. So then one day, because we like eating like organic food, especially my mom liked organic food. So my grandma just happened to get a chicken. And I'm like, oh shoot, there's a chicken in the house, right? Yeah. And she's like, oh, me vas a ayudar a matarlo. You're gonna help me kill it. And I'm like, oh shoot, like I've never done it, but all right. She's like, just grab the neck, and then I'll get the cuchillo, I'll get the knife. But our knives were bad. Like, they weren't sharp at all.
Enough said.
And
Chicken's making eye contact with you still.
I had the neck of the chicken. This might be a little too graphic for some people, but
Dang.
I had the neck of the chicken, and my abuelita, she just kept going at it, and I'm like,
Oh,
dude,
poor
like,
chicken,
just
dude.
make it stop,
Man.
Just grab the scissors at that point.
Yeah.
Vegans
And
turn away now.
Shout out,
If
Peter.
you guys ever been there at the rancho, I mean, that's how they kill them, And
Yeah.
when they take their heads off, the chickens are still
Yeah.
running and stuff. So I was just so freaked out, and I want to say I was already like middle school freshman year. Imagine being a little kid out there, and then it's just
That's
it's
wild.
like nothing.
Yeah, I think if I was actually like dressed for the occasion, I definitely would have got in there. But I was wearing shorts, my Air Maxes, a tank top,
The Yeezys this guy sold you.
I was like, no, you ain't gonna see me up in there. If I was dressed up, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And gloves. Yeah. Definitely need to. But yeah, like I said, it was different culture, man. I mean, something you don't see every day, and it does make you think and open up your eyes if you've actually never seen it, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, compared to here, the States, it's
Yeah.
complete different definition from like manhood here to like, Mexico. Yeah, like in Mexico, they put you to work. Like when I went to Mexico when I was a kid, I was like 5. Like the first day I was there, my grandma was like, all right, let's go, get the sheep and get the dog and go for a walk. I'm like, what is... Where's the TV? I need to watch the Rugrats or something before I start. Like, where's my Cheerios? Nope. Get the sheep, go for a walk, and then be careful for like, animals out there trying to get the sheep. I'm like, where am I?
Yeah.
And so yeah, for sure, it's complete different game. But so I mean, respect for those kids out there, man. How they get to work so early because they learn, how to be independent, and they learn how to have the work ethic that can probably have them succeed.
Absolutely.
One step ahead, for sure.
Starting, with the labor, using your 2 hands, right? That's why I think when we were younger, our parents always wanted to send us out there
To Mexico,
Mexico, even now, they want
real.
to send my cousins out there, just so they can experience that, and it's different.
Yeah.
Kids just have it easier here, like here you go play with some Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Over there, like, go ahead, play with a chicken's neck.
Exactly. Go chase the chickens.
Go chase the chickens.
In other words, they're soft here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's true.
Shots
I mean,
fired.
and this is just like, I would just say the U.S., right? Like all these other countries. I mean, I only went to Mexico, but I could assume that other countries, they pretty much have the same, right? Like they teach them at a very young age.
Yeah.
How to be a man.
Yeah, I think there's different definitions of manhood, between, I think, all the countries, right? I mean, the U.S., it's like success at an older age can define manhood to some people, you know what I mean? Compared to like, in Mexico, Latin America, it's like, oh, like how much of a hard worker you are at a young age will like determine how you're going to be as a man when you get bigger. The values you get, because then that comes with like fatherhood and you become a husband and like just to be a man out there is completely different than being here, right? Because here I feel like it's more of an independent route when it comes to manhood, right? So out there it's all about like family, right? Like, how you treat your wife, how you raise your kids.
Yeah.
Here is like how can you get the paper the fastest. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's a big like, difference between both sides, and then we don't get to experience the other side as much, right? Because we're here.
Right.
So, I think I want to take my kids to Mexico now. Just get them to work.
Drop
man.
them off for a
Buy
month.
some-
Yeah.
Buy some cheap land out there.
Man, we should all
Right.
pitch in. But yeah,
Yeah. No, it's definitely I would say more family oriented.
for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, there's less overall screen time right? For everyone across the
God,
board.
yeah.
You don't necessarily have, most families can't even afford TVs, let alone internet, you know, nor is there even infrastructure in some of these Mexican cities to even have internet, you know.
That's true.
I've been in parts of Mexico so deep where there isn't any. You got the bunny ears on your TV if you're lucky enough to have a TV, and that's it. And even then, you get maybe 3 channels that kind of sort of work with some extra foil on them bunny ears, right? So most of your time is going to be spent outside or working, helping the family, period.
Yeah.
You know, having gone there as a young kid, I've seen it. We spent a month in Mexico and we just traveled I don't even remember all the cities we went through. We just literally traveled for a month, and we were in some super far cities in Mexico, so deep in Mexico where like some places you can only get there through the mountains. It was pretty scary. And I mean, I witnessed, you know, the killing of animals like firsthand, you know, like huge pigs and goats and all that stuff. And the food was amazing.
Delicious.
Absolutely
yeah,
amazing. Yeah. But, it was crazy to watch. And I was like, man, this is how I get my food. It's like we just show up, you know, to Safeway or Chavez, and we get our, you know, carne de puerco or whatever,
Or In-N-Out.
And
In-N-Out.
meanwhile, the family they go out and kill it from their rancho, you know, from their own
man.
place, and you know, the slaughter of the animals, whatever. But it's crazy. I think because of that, lots of kids in that environment would, you know, quote unquote achieve semblance of manhood and or adulthood at an earlier age.
Yeah.
Screen time is big too. I mean, I think I have an example of that. When I went to Mexico, the closest TV was like a mile away at a market, right? That it was a family friend's market. If you want to watch TV, you have to go over there. Other than that, if I needed to go to the bathroom, I needed to walk half a mile to my aunt's house to use the bathroom because my grandma didn't have plumbing. You know what I mean? And if I wanted a shower, I had to go there. And then in Mexico, there was this, this is goose that did not like me and would chase me, dog. I'm not like, it would chase me every day. I was terrified of this thing. And so imagine me in the middle of the night, I have to go shower, and then I have to sprint, and then I just hear the little,
Right.
and I'm like, here it comes. Let me make it to the door real quick. You know what I mean? That goose hated me, man.
Some of the places that we
it's
visited
nuts.
way deep in Mexico didn't even have a like proper toilets. You
Yeah,
literally had to dig for yourself and stuff like that. It
Mom,
was
where do I go to
crazy.
the bathroom? It's like,
Yeah.
there's a hole on the side of the house. There you go.
Yeah.
And then let me know when
They
you're done
give
so I can give you toilet
a
paper.
bucket of water.
Yeah.
And that's it. Here you go, bro.
Well, that's crazy that you guys are mentioning that, because now that I think back, it didn't even occur to me that I did not see one TV on the whole time we were there.
Yeah.
Like, not one.
Wow.
Like, I mean, I was like kind of going through the houses that we were at and restaurants. Not one TV that was on. It was crazy.
What were you guys doing all day?
Just,
Talking?
you know, being with each other.
Yeah.
You know, and like just talking and getting to know each other. And, you know, it's just, it's almost like camping. You know, it's like you don't have nothing else to do but get to know who you're with, right?
Yeah.
And even like at a deeper level, you know? And so that's a reflection on the parents, like to the kids, right? You think about that. It's like the kids were out actually getting dirty. You know, like I loved seeing that. I was like, that's how I grew up. You know, I like we would get punished by not being able to go outside, and like going inside was like, all right, I guess we're gonna watch TV now. You know, but even inside we played a lot, and we weren't behind devices. You know, we were literally spending time with one another. You know, I had my brother. You know, that's my ride or die right there.
Yeah.
You know, till forever. You know, because we know things about each other that, you know, it's just. That's all I had, you know, playing with him, you know, and I wasn't influenced by anything else, you know, like screens that we have now. You got all these influencers, you know, they're raising our kids.
Yeah.
You know?
That was me and my brothers. Like we grew up, we had TVs, and my dad got us like the early on, like he adopted, like the Sega Genesis. We had an Atari back then. Even then, we did not play it often. We would rather play with our GI Joes, and we would create these very elaborate bases with clothes and mounds of clothing and stuff, and we kind of getting into our creative juices, so to speak, and we set up all of our little men all around the room and stuff like that. And okay, here's my snipers over here, and it was pretty cool. Me and my brother Mike hated it because when he was gone, me and my younger brother would play, and then we'd end up breaking his toys because he was one of those people that he'd organize all of his toys. Wow. He would like get all of his GI Joes and put them like that, and then he'd have like this little case where he put all the little weapons of each character. He separated them really nicely, the different types of weapons. And me and younger brother, we were just like, just throw it in there. Who cares? So he'd come home and he'd be so frustrated. Like, bro, what are you? Why?
Yeah.
Stop playing.
You
toys.
mentioned like all we wanted to do is just be outside. And me growing up, I remember because I love soccer, and all the kids in the barrio there, all we did was play soccer. And my mom would legit have to tell me every single time, like, ven a comer, come tus frijoles, tu quesito, tus tortillas, and then you can go back. And as soon as I was done eating, boom, I was back to playing soccer out there in the barrio, And I think that also teaches you how to have like people skills growing up as well. Like you're out there with kids your age, you're bonding with them. You might run into some trouble with them, whatever it may be, but you're standing up for yourself. You're learning that from a very early age, and just like you mentioned, the kids out there in Mexico, very family oriented probably since their inception. They've been having these ethics, these morals on them, on teaching them how to be a provider. Which is just very, very important. And sometimes here we struggle with like, oh, what's my purpose? Or like I lose this or this happens and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm doomed. I don't know what to do. But it could be that those values weren't instilled yet in us. We didn't have the opportunities. It may be so.
And social skills too, man. Like you said, you were in Mexico. There's no TVs out there. You're talking. Right. You're learning how to have a conversation with somebody. Out here, screens are big, and so people forget how to have conversations with people. You know what I mean? And so, also, I think that's a big attribute as a man, is to learn how to speak up for yourself, because you have to speak up for your family, you have to speak up for your kids, to speak up for yourself, right? And be able to articulate, your emotions, your feelings, how you need to. And so when you're behind a screen for so long, like how you don't even know how to stand up for yourself. So let me YouTube it, how to say it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, man, like you gotta be able to learn these skills, and I think they come at a young age. We're from a generation where, we didn't have these screens. And so, like you said, we're outside playing, we're roughhousing, we're fighting, you know what I mean? Getting scraped and getting hurt, but like being able to like talk back to your friends, right? You're learning those skills of like socializing, and you're able to have conversations, they weren't deep conversations because we're kids, what I'm saying? But
and the opportunities to make mistakes were
exactly
there.
Yes.
Sometimes right now, like I don't have kids, but I've worked with students, and I've just seen parents trying to just coddle their kids a lot, like, oh, don't tell them this, don't tell them that, and I'm like, yes, I it is important, how you speak to your kids, but you got to let them go through the mistakes, feel the pain, feel what that experience, whatever it may be, so that they may be able to reflect on it, so that it doesn't necessarily have to become a trauma. But being able to reflect back on that and be like, okay, I made this mistake, now I know what to do, what not to do, and that pain that I experienced, now comes growth out of that and maturity. Which is a big step in transitioning from being a boy to a man. How are you going to mature?
And having
based
those
on your experiences,
emotional changes, those emotional moments, because those will help you learn how to avoid them, and maybe just go a different route. You know what I'm saying? Not just fall into that same wall. You know what I mean? So I think you're right. It's important to maybe like not like let them get hurt. You know what I'm saying? But like also like teaching them like, all right, dude, like you're doing that. I told you to stop. You know what I mean? And if you don't stop, you're gonna get hurt. Right. But I mean, also you don't let them like play with scissors. Like, stop running with the scissors. You know what I mean? Like,
Or a
I
fork
told
in
you
the electrical socket.
exactly. It's like,
right?
don't do that.
Right.
No, like you go there.
Yeah.
And you
Let me
smack.
let him do it.
But
You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
like,
if
You won't do it again. I tell you that much.
Yeah, you probably won't be here.
now because you were getting chased by geese out there.
One goose.
Okay,
It was just
goose.
one white goose,
Not
man.
a pack. All right,
Nah.
just one goose. If you saw your kids getting chased by one goose, would you kind of step in there or just kind of?
I think that's a tough question because
and I asked this because growing up, I was also chased by a goose, and my family would just make kind of fun of, of the situation.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like like you're a wimp or whatever.
Yeah.
Not that, but just the fact that there was a
Yeah.
goose chasing
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Nothing happened to me at the end of the day. I
Sure.
didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of in that experience that I had that they kind of reacted. And I
Yeah.
guess it's a way of showing love. May not be the best
yeah.
example of it, but
So I think a few things with that. Number one is like I'm not worried about a goose doing much damage to my kid, right? Like I'm probably not going to be like, oh my God, he's being chased by a goose. However, I would be worried about the angle of the kid thinking, why isn't my dad protecting me? And I think that also depends on the age of the child. Now, the child, if he's a little bit older, is going to understand it's just a goose. My dad doesn't have to jump in
course.
here. But if he's younger and he does not understand that yet, and the goose is chasing him, and he or she is crying, and they're just like, what? Mom and dad is just watching?
Yeah.
That could be
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah, of course. No, you're right. I was 5, and I was terrified. And my
Yeah.
mom would just pick me up, like, you're fine.
Now, let me ask you this: you have both. You have a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
You have only a boy. Would
Two
you
boys.
have? I'm sorry. You have 2 boys. Yeah. Sorry.
sorry.
Would it be any different if you had a daughter? Would you look at it any differently?
That's a good question. And me specifically, I know myself. I'm raising my girl to be a legitimate soldier. Like that. That's like it would be brutal for her. She'd probably hate me as a dad. But I would do that for lots of reasons for her in the future. But I don't think. I mean, I'm stepping in regardless, if depending on the age, not namely the gender.
Okay.
If for me it would be the age thing that would make it different for me. If my child is being chased by a goose and they're too old to understand that the goose isn't going to truly harm them, then I'm going to step in regardless of the gender of my child. Because it's my job to protect them, to not let them think that dad is just chilling.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if she's older, I'm laughing.
You're chasing her too.
And
Yeah, exactly.
That's important, it's as a man being the protector.
Yeah.
Right. And just in the child development of a kid, it's very important in those first 5 years that you're showing that that love, that I'm here for you as a protector.
Absolutely.
Because they really do feel that, like, my dad is there for me. Even if I can go out and be out in the ocean and be swimming for a bit, but I look back and my dad's there kind of taking care of me. So it, in a way, gives them the opportunity to kind of go out there and make some mistakes. And at the end of the day, she or he knows that they have a loving father waiting for them with arms wide open, and that is very important in the development of a child.
Yeah. That's a good question, Joe, actually. Because I feel like I'm a little bit more tough on my son than I am my daughter, right? Because I think for my daughter, I want her to know what a man is and how a man should treat a woman, right? So I treat her like very, delicate, like you're precious, right? So I'm going to protect you, emotionally, physically, whatever way I can, right? Doesn't mean I'm going to let you get away with stuff, but I'm not going to discipline you to what I would do like my son, right? Like my son's like, he's rough, right? He likes to, tackle her down, you know what I mean? Put her in a headlock and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, for him, it's like, nah, dude, like, you don't do that. But then
Pops.
Yeah.
no, he learns that from WWE. He watches it.
Because Pops watches it.
Exactly.
He's just doing what Rey Mysterio would
Exactly.
do, right?
And I love that. He has a mask and everything. Nah.
I love
But But also at that moment when I correct them, I feel like I'm, excuse me, I'm teaching both of them a lesson. Like, all right, dude, like you don't touch a woman, right? And then don't let a man ever touch you.
Right.
You know, things like that. So I always see it in that perspective.
Sure.
And where I I try to raise them the right way, but slightly different. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I feel like women can be more, emotional, sensitive. Like she's sensitive, so like, oh, you always take his side. I'm like, no, I don't. Right? But then, and for him, it's like, why are you always picking on me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like,
Yeah.
you have to be very delicate in that situation, especially when you have a girl and a boy that are so close in age, right? So, yeah, that's. I mean, I raised my daughter with very much delicacy and, put her on a little pedestal.
Yeah.
My princess, man,
Yeah.
for life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's
Yeah.
your input on that?
I guess because of my daughter had. I mean, I only have her, but she was raised with my nephews, and they always were tough with her.
Yeah.
She was able to handle herself, so I never actually had to interfere. I'd always tell her, like, you got to go in there and throw some blows if you need to, But if I had a boy and a girl at roughly the same age, I would interfere with my daughter, right? If there was a goose chasing her, I'd definitely interfere. Just more for her to always know, like, your dad's always going to be here to protect you. My boy, which I would assume that would be like more tough, he'd probably try to swing at the goose or something.
Yeah.
I would more like try to coach him, not where I'd be like laughing or just let him do his thing, but I'd be coaching him what to do, if he didn't know what to do. Cause usually girls are just crying. They're not hearing anything else. So I'd definitely just try to coach him, on how to handle the situation. And cause that's what I know as a man, I know how to be a man. I don't know how to be a woman. I'm not a woman.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I'm going to do what a man does is he protects. I'm going to protect my daughter.
Yeah.
And always show her, hey, this is what a man does. These are the things that you're supposed to look at. So when my daughter it's time for her to find a man, she knows what a man is. A man is a protector, he's a provider, and he's always going to be there. And, you got to be soft with them, It's hard as a man to be soft with them, but you just have to, But that's where it's not my place, That's not where I'm at,
Yeah.
So.
That's true. I mean,
This is a loaded question.
it is, right? Like there's many.
But I'm going to
answers.
follow up with another loaded question for all of you. And on the subject of man, what defines a man to you guys? And you kind of touched on some of the things already. We all have a little bit, but there isn't one particular answer to answer this question, which is why I said it's a loaded question. But just from your opinions, what are some what defines a man to you? Starting with you, Jay.
Ooh, man.
That's good because, I mean, there's definitions just being thrown out right now of what a man is. So sometimes it can come down to just your own perspective of what a man can be, but there is a unique set of skills, like innate, that's in us, that separates us, that for the strength of our family, that men are to be leaders, like he said, leaders of their family, to protect and provide. And before, it was just protection from danger, whatever it may be, and now can be the same, and provide by putting food on the table. But now in the modern age, it's not just providing food, but providing, like he's saying, coaching, right? So you're providing that wisdom for your son and daughter, passing that down as well. So it's being there mentally and physically, spiritually, just there supporting your family, aside from just providing food, and not being an absent father as well, because that is, for now, like, it's a huge dilemma in America with just fatherless, absent fathers at home. And even when you speak to your friends, like I've spoken to many people, and they've always said that they have not a really good relationship with their father, and it's sad sometimes. not having that that relationship with someone who you just said, is supposed to be the protector, provider, and some way or another you didn't feel perhaps that warmness from your father, or that correction, or they just kind of let you be and do your own thing, but with no guidance, no wisdom passed down, no inheritance passed down to your family. So I think of all that. I don't have kids, but that's something that I talk a lot about with my wife. And we're both on the same page that we don't have kids at the moment because it's, aside from just thinking like, oh, like we'll look so cute with the kid, we really look inside ourselves. I'm like, okay, at the moment that we're at right now, with the issues that we had, I had went through a really dark space in my time with anxiety and depression, and kind of the same with my wife. So we've really been there for each other, and our relationship has matured, and our faith has as well. But we just feel like there's still some digging to do there, because we don't want to pass that same trauma down to our kids. Like, that's what we really are deep about that. We don't want to pass that trauma. We want to be present parents, providers, protectors, being everything that as a man and a woman. So there's just there's a lot to it, but
I would
got something to say.
I definitely I guess one word would be head of house. Right? I don't even know when I felt or could say I was a man. I was a father at 19. So I was still a teen, but I guess at the moment, I wasn't thinking, oh, I need to be a man now. This is what I just knew. I needed to provide for this kid. I needed to do whatever it took to make sure that this kid was okay. I was a single dad, right? And didn't know what I was doing, but I did have a father figure, right? And then also, our Heavenly Father, right? So that's something that I had to rely on. That's something that, funny enough, Pastor Rich talked about it this Sunday, but it was simply like, you're put in a position a lot of times because you maybe need to actually seek God, right? And that's the only thing you have. There's nothing there's nothing else there for you. Nothing. And so at that moment, I guess I could say that's where I became a man, where I had nothing else but just to be like, all right, God, like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I need to step up. I was out riding all the time on my bike, motorcycles and stuff, and having fun, going out. But that only lasted for like a year, that's when I graduated high school. And then here I am having a kid, and all that, just none of that mattered to me anymore. All that mattered was that this kid was okay. And I think that's where I became a man, because all I did was try to make sure that kid had a roof over her head, clothes on her body, and food in her stomach, and that's where I believe I became a man. And I always reminded myself, I'm head of the house. This is my house, and that's kind of what it took off for me.
That for me, like you're saying, stepping up. I don't know if we all, because it's not like we're in tribes where they have rites of passage and like you have to do this to become a man. We live in modern America where those opportunities are not necessarily there. Or we don't have to go through that, right? But for me, I felt like I became a man. Like you said, you had to step up. Yeah, there was no other way. I had lost my home with my family. I had lost my mom. My dad was in jail. I legit had no one to rely on. I had to go get a job at 17. All my money had to go into repairing the van that my dad had left behind. And I just had to step up. I had to be able to provide help with my sister as well. And just kind of let my goals and dreams at that time kind of put away to the side for a while. So I think in being a man is also, now it's teaching me a lot too in my marriage, of that sacrificial love. And I've learned that, like how you mentioned too, with my Heavenly Father, just the sacrificial love that He has shown us. And I had to provide that for my own wife as well. And I feel like all my troubles and everything that I went through as a young man helped me and mature and reflect on those problems, everything that I went through, to now allow me to be the man that my wife needs me to be in my marriage.
Yeah.
And think about her, fight for her, sacrificial love, being selfless, all my dreams and goals, not all my dreams and goals to the side, but lifting her up, building her up and everything. So that for me at a young age, I felt, as everybody all my friends were partying or whatnot, I'm like, man, there has to be more to this. Like, I'm out here alone, I feel alone, there has to be more to this. And that is what led me to God. And then from there, building me up in order to create the man that he wanted me to be. But it starts with stepping up and taking the initiative that there is a problem.
Yeah.
And it needs to be solved. And as a man, as a leader, you need to solve that problem. And you're going to have to go to the pain, those mistakes, but it's going to be necessary to mature you and just stretch you out and build that resilience inside of you. And I feel like that is where I'm at right now. And sometimes when I just get in those intrusive thoughts and it just happened, like, I feel like magically one time I was in my car and I was just listening to music and I was in a bit of a bad mood. I'm like, man, like, if only I hadn't gone through this, or my life would have been different. But I'm just remembered and I thought about all that and I'm like, no, like, why am I letting those thoughts define me? I went through all that and I still got over it. And here I am, still alive, now married, reconcile my relationship with my father, with my family. And boom, like, I feel like I'm starting now my life with everything that I learned from life experiences.
Yeah.
And that in itself just, lifted me up. But that's a little bit about me. What about you, Castro?
Man, you guys went all deep.
It's a deep question.
No, it is. It really is.
And it is really interesting. Everybody has unique perspectives. But
Yeah, of
I
course.
can definitely see that there is these qualities, these skill sets that are innate in us that allow us to be the man.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. There are different views on what we would all define like ultimately as a man, but I think there are some characteristics that are the same across the board and we would all agree upon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But with that said, go
No,
ahead.
yeah,
my brother.
you're right. I mean, for me, it's. I for the longest time I thought being a man was being a provider, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna provide and I'm gonna do everything that I can, to have a roof over her head, clothes on her back. That's a man. It's not really what a man is to me. You know what I mean? I thought it was like, being like, the head and like being able to lead my family, and like that's all part of manhood for sure, right? But like I think the thing that I learned the most was having kids, and having them young at a young age was like being present is such a crucial thing in being a man and being a father, right? And not just present with my kid, but present with my wife, right? Because we live in a generation where like your wife and husband can be in the same bed, but they're in different corners on their phones for hours, right? Not even communicating, not even talking, not even planning things ahead, like just in their own world, right? Same thing with their kids. Like you can be in one room, then your kids can be, watching TV, and then you're just like, go over there, right?
Somebody else is raising your kids.
Exactly, and exactly because
Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, I realized that just being present, being there for everybody, for your kids, for your family, is what a man is. You know what I mean? Like when I had my kids, I legit quit my job twice. When I had my kids, I said I'm gonna be at home. I sat at home for like 3-4 months, each kid, right? Thank the Lord he provided.
Yeah.
I don't know how I was able to pull through. I mean, I was doing DoorDashing and Amazon. I was doing everything just to go to do that for like 2-3 hours and then come back home to the kids. Let me, let me change their diaper. Let me give them a bath.
Yeah.
Like let me do what I need to do to be a father, because that also helped me grow to be a man, because I appreciated those things, right?
Yep.
I think right now one of the big things is having someone else raise your kids. That's like, TV, YouTube, right? And I think that also becomes a social pressure for your kids. And we're like, they see, for example, on Instagram, like, this is what a man is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, no, that's not what I was trying to teach you. Like, no, like being a man now is like, having a Bugatti. You know what I mean? Having $1 million. You know what I mean? Having women around you. Like that's what being a man is to some kids nowadays. It's like, no, that's not what it is. It's yeah, you can have all that, but like when you go home, you're just
You'll be miserable.
You're miserable. You know what I mean? You know, and just being present in the moment, man. Like I just feel like I'll just keep it simple. Being present to me was what defined manhood in my life personally, because I was able to make mistakes, learn, grow, and be a good father. You know, being present with my kids. That's why I like being emotional with my kids, and like I like to cuddle with them. You know, like things like that really make me feel good.
Yeah.
You know, and just treating my wife with respect. You know, giving her a man that she deserves to have. You know, giving my kids a father they deserve to have, right? I think I was blessed coming up because my dad is very emotional. So like, I'm used to like the cuddles and the hugs, you know. Like,
that's good.
You know what I mean? Like, good. Even now, my dad, like, he tries to hug me and kiss me. I mean, when I was a teen, I was like, dude, get off of me. Like, my friends are here.
For sure.
Right? But now I'm like, all right, cool. Like, yeah, give me a kiss in the cheek, you know what I mean? And like, just be, he's always been very, in his emotional side, right? And so that, he wasn't like, that machista Mexican, like, no, ponte a trabajar, like, you know what I mean? And I think that's also affects you in the long run, you know what I mean? Because then you put that, like, oh, this is what you need to be a man. You need to be a tough guy. But no, man, God gave us emotions for a reason, right? Yeah. We should be able to express them and show them.
And that's cool. Good that you mentioned that, because I've known you for more than half of my life. Yeah. And I don't think I've ever heard you talk about your father like that, but it really does explain your own character, and something that I do like cherish from you and learn from you is how you're able to just kind of hug people, cuddle people, and just kind of be there emotionally, or, even joking around. And I feel like sometimes I hesitate to like give somebody a hug or be like, oh, are you okay? But like when I see you, like you just do it like fluently, like nothing. And that explains a lot. Growing up, you had a father that was present and showed you how to do that. And my father was present. He was present all the time. Thank the Lord, there was no abuse, nothing in the household. But growing up, I didn't have like that much of a connection with him. He was a provider. He was a protector. Emotionally, perhaps wasn't there. But now, me in my season where I'm at, and my faith has matured, and me as a man, I've matured, that now I can sit down and have these conversations with my dad, and I've learned so much from him that later I can talk about. But I just wanted to add that.
Thanks, man.
That explains a lot about you, man.
I love all you guys. And I love loving
Likewise,
people,
brother.
man. I love loving people. I feel like that's a big thing, and being a man too is like, I'll hug you guys all day, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I expect a kiss on the cheek from now on.
No, I'll kiss you on the head. I'll kiss you on the head, dog. I ain't care. But I for me personally, like I don't like to I don't really like to tell a story much, but my dad was an alcoholic when I was younger for like my whole life. He's been sober like 15 years now, I think. Or a little longer, actually. But another thing that I cherish about him that really taught me how to be a man too is that he would take me to AA meetings purposely. He would be like on the ride home, like, I'm going to take you. And on the way back, like, what did you learn? Oh, you can lose your family if you get addicted. Oh, you can lose your job. You can be homeless.
Yeah.
And like all that stuff got stuck to me. Right. And I'm like, damn, like, thank you for doing that, because that really molded me. Like, okay, like, be careful, make the right decision. You know what I mean? Don't get yourself in a situation where you can't get yourself out of, right? Especially when you have kids and you have a wife. It's like, dude, you can ruin it for your whole family. You know what I mean? Like, God forbid you go under a bridge with your kids, man. Yeah. Like, what does that say about you being a man, the provider, the caretaker? Yeah. You can't even do that, right? And unfortunately, there are instances like that. And I was able to see those firsthand as a young kid. I'm like, damn, I'm not going that route. Yeah. I'm not doing this.
It's good.
Right?
It's real good.
And so, on top of seeing him get arrested when he was drunk, that also taught me, but then going to that, like seeing him recover. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, like, you're not just the old drunk you used to be. You know what I mean? You're cool. You're funny. My dad's so corny, though. You know what I mean?
That's where you get it.
God. Right?
That's
I
my
set
dad all
myself
day.
up, dog.
Funny that you mentioned that because we were at the fair and there was a stand that said "Me so corny," and I told everybody like that's Oscar's motto, and everybody agreed, and then you just said that's that's where he gets it from. So see, everybody thinks that.
But I make people laugh, dog. That's the important thing. Is
I appreciate
that,
that, brother.
You know, humor is very important in my life too. You know,
Yeah.
and that was my dad too. Like my dad, like he's a
Yeah,
goofball.
exactly.
You know what I mean? So for me, it's like humor was always big, and like the way he interacts with people really taught me like, oh, like he's social. Like my dad, dude, it's so funny because we would go to like Reno or like Vegas, and somehow he would make friends everywhere he went. I'm like, damn, dude, how do you do that?
Yeah.
You can just sit in a buffet in the line,
Yeah.
not even sitting down, in the line, and just like, yeah, what's
While
your name?
you're waiting to
Yeah.
get in.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what's your name? How's your life? You know, how many
Right.
kids? Like, damn, dude, how do you do that?
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
my dad all day too. Same
Crazy.
same way. Like it's crazy. I'm like, bro.
my
He's
dad
like,
too.
oh, this is my friend Jacob, and I was like, but we've been waiting in line. He's like, yeah, and this is his wife Alina, and you're like, what? Like,
Yeah, dude.
Dad.
And that taught me a lot, man. That taught me how to be not just a man in the, stereotypical Mexican machista style,
Yeah.
but be a man with your emotions, being able to express yourself. And if you don't feel right about something, be able to stand up and be like, hey, you know what, man, what you did to me, man, be like, I didn't like that. And also vice versa, like, hey, if I did something to offend you, man, my bad. Like I've called people like, hey, dude, I realized I did something yesterday, like my bad for doing that. I just wanted to like tell you, and I think that's also big in being a man because that taught me to be social, right? And like I'm good at being social with people. I don't stop talking sometimes, right? And so that's the thing with nowadays this generation where I don't know how they're gonna be in 10, 15 years, right? How are you gonna be able to be a provider or a man in the social aspect, right? Because also to be a man to succeed, you have to be able to network, right? So you have to be social. You know what I mean? And so, good luck to these kids going up. But for us as parents, it's like our job is to like ingrain what we learned growing up in them and pray that they apply that in their lives, right? And I mean, I got nothing against my kid being a YouTuber. Cool. If that pays the bills, dude, if that brings the money in, cool, right? But have a good work ethic. But don't expect things to get handed to you. That's a big thing now, too, is having things getting handed to you. Like, I want myself on a silver platter, man. Like, what did you do to earn that?
You got to go out there and get it. You got to
You know?
grind.
That's funny because before I came here today, I asked my boys and the three of them that are home right now, and I asked them the same question just to see how they would answer it. Two 17-year-olds and a 16-year-old, how would they answer that? I said, what is a man to you? And one of them, the 16-year-old, he was like, well, it's having a strong mind, Dad. That was one of his main answers. He goes, but it's also being respectful and being and people trusting your word. Those are the three things that he said, and I was just
That's
like,
awesome.
Nice.
You're still a boy. How are you? What?
That's you, dog.
That's all you.
That's you.
That's all you.
That's you.
And then the other one said, like immediately, I was like, what about you, the older one? And he goes, you're a protector and a provider. And I was like, okay. And the other one, he said, you're humble and you ask for forgiveness. I was like, bro.
Wow.
It truly, I mean, that's two 17-year-olds and a 16-year-old. And so it really, I was not expecting those answers.
Wow, man, that's so surprising because even in just our own perspectives and the perspectives of your kids, not once was it mentioned that being a man or the first time you became a man was when you hooked up with a girl or you having hooked up with so many girls, being someone that just had a lot of girls around them, or the car that they drove defined who they were, or the job they had defined who they were, or the college degree that they received defined the man that they are. Like none of that. It's we're talking about all these values and morals, characteristics that define a man, but not necessarily those things. So it's curious, to hear that.
So we heard from the boys.
Yeah.
Now we
what
got to
about
hear
you?
from Papa.
Yeah. For sure. I agree with all of those statements and everything you've said, everything the boys said. We are not one thing. A man is one who provides, protects, is humble, can ask for forgiveness, does provide, and does teach, and I think all those things as a whole encapsulate what a man, or the essence of a man, or the characteristic of a man. And I think that is lost over time, either because one generation to another, they just pass on, where either the father was not present or the father was there and they were a terrible father. Right. And so, how can we change that? And I think about those things, and it's just passing it on to our kids, those of us who did choose the right thing to do, which is stick around and raise our kids and teach our kids. It's show them to be that way. And even if one of our kids, heaven forbid, if they had a child at an early age, to tell them, you chose that. Now you're choosing to take care of this child and raise him the way I raised you, which is to be there, provide, protector, humble, forgiving, all of that good stuff, and so I think the essence of a man is all of those things combined, and it's even more than that.
For sure.
I don't think I'm eloquent enough in words to explain everything that a man encapsulates a quote unquote man, but those are definitely high on the board for me. Is all of those characteristics.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Dude.
Accepting responsibilities and ownership for your consequences, and keeping yourself self accountable.
Yeah,
right.
I think I love that you said that, because I've always told my boys too. One of the things that I teach them is when I'm wrong as a dad, I ask them for forgiveness. I look them in their eye. I sit down and I tell them, I am sorry. I made that mistake. Forgive me, son, because it's so powerful. I feel like that tool, you going to your child and saying, hey, forgive me, it doesn't give them this sense, because that happens in a lot of families where the parents are wrong. There is no, I'm sorry. And then that creates this thing of, my mom and dad is never wrong. They just think they're right. Everything they do, every decision they make is just right to them. And that creates distance between you and your child, right? Because they don't understand me, because they don't make mistakes in their own eyes. While I do. Well, when I go to my kids and I tell them, hey, I'm sorry, they know I can relate to them. Hey, my bad, son. I'm sorry that I did that. But I'm gonna be better. I'm not gonna do that anymore. And then I follow through and don't do it anymore.
Wow.
That's huge, man.
That's powerful.
I like that story, because I think it goes back to one topic that I think we need to elaborate more on, is humbleness. Being humble, man. Being humble, I think, is such a huge characteristic of being a man.
I agree.
Because you take that pride off, man. Like, you don't care what you're doing as a job, as long as you have a job and you're like, okay, I'm providing for my family. I'm humble, right? I may not be a CEO, working in an office, like my first job, I was a janitor. Right. I was cleaning toilets for a living. Right. I was young, but I was like, I have a job. And I think that also was a good step for me, being a man. Like, I was able to learn, like, okay, I'm here now. Cool. I'll humble myself where I'm at, cleaning toilets. Right. But hey, eventually I'll work myself up, right, to where I want to be. And I think being humble is so critical in a young person's life, because they'll be able to have sympathy for people too, right? They'll be able oh, you know what, man? I know you don't have much, and no, I have an extra. You know what I mean? You're teaching your kids also to share or to just being generous. Because that's also comes with humbleness. Because if you're not a humble person, you're a cocky person. Like, oh, you got none, I got all of it. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you got to teach them to, humble themselves, know that what you have now, be grateful for it, because you might not have it forever. Right?
Yeah. And if you're entrusted with a little, then you'll be entrusted with
a lot.
With a whole
exactly.
lot more. And
yeah,
that is just, it comes down to reaping what you sow, and what you're sowing onto your kids, your
faithful
family,
in the little,
faith.
Absolutely.
All that it's what's really as a man be fine, And yeah, it's a really good conversation, guys.
It really is, man. Because I think nowadays it's such a topic going around everywhere across, I guess, the internet, on like different men trying to tell kids how to be men.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then now these kids have this definition like, oh, like, I want to be like this guy because he's a man and he has the girls and he has the money and the cars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, no, like, you might not get all that, right? But it's not going to define your manhood, right?
Yeah.
How you live your life, right? How you respect people, how you love your wife, how you love your kids, how you love the people around you, knowing them or not knowing them,
Right.
doesn't define what a man is for you, right? And I pray these kids, get those father figures, right? Because, we don't need no more. I'm not gonna say names, but we don't need no more of those people out of here, man.
Yeah.
Like who are over here trying to influence our little guys. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And it's going back to the root of traditional values.
Yeah.
All this that we talked about is these traditional values that have been passed on to us. Thank the Lord from our own family members as well.
Yeah.
And you just got to keep that going. But you guys have any final thoughts?
I mean, I don't think we're ever done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not even done growing, man, and maturing.
Always a
Exactly.
work in progress.
Always
Yeah.
a work in progress. We know where we're at right now, but we want to continue being a better man tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not just for ourselves, but like I said, it's just that sacrificial love to our own family members, our wife. And I would love, another episode to talk more about how marriage, it kind of entails in all that, of how to prepare for that as a man.
Yeah.
But
That's good, bro.
this is a really good conversation, guys.
maybe this is just part one.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate
So-
your guys' insight.
Nah,
and
for
everything,
sure.
man.
I think I've learned a lot in this episode from
Yeah.
all you guys. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys.
Definitely. Yeah. Let us know. Reach out to us. What you think about this? What topics? What other questions you think you want us to discuss? And so you guys can get to know us better,
Yep.
because it's a journey. I don't know if you guys haven't noticed, we haven't gone around kind of saying like, oh, this is what I like to do, this is what I'm about. But we want you guys to know us through our conversations and our journey and our experiences and us sharing our stories, so that you may relate to it as well.
Absolutely.
So this is what the social wave is about, baby.
Yep. Get us to 200 followers and I'll kiss Mari on the forehead.
You heard it
I'm
right
with
here,
it.
live and
I'm with
exclusive.
it.
That's it.
What about Jacob? I gotta show him some love. over
Yeah,
there?
that's on you, dog.
Put
That's
some
on your side.
chapstick on.
I know your lips are probably dry from Mexico.
Oh, bro. My lips always stay moist.